Well, hi, everybody. I'm Mark Graban, Senior Advisor with KaiNexus, and today we are doing a quick preview of an upcoming webinar that's going to be held September 14th, 1 o'clock Eastern Time. It's titled Ask a CEO, Building Cultures of Commitment. And so there's going to be a big emphasis on the ask, your opportunity to ask questions. We're going to have a short presentation by Mark Parrish, followed by a really in-depth and robust Q&A period. So you can register for that session at kainexus.com/webinars, or you can look for a specific link in the show notes or the YouTube description. We're joined today by Mark Parrish. Mark, thank you for being here. Thank you in advance for doing the session. How are you?
Outstanding, Mark. Thank you. And it's my pleasure indeed. I'm humbled to have the opportunity to share. As I like to say, I've got more scar than skin tissue, and folks might benefit from hearing some of the stories of lessons learned through the trials and tribulations. It's my pleasure to be here. Thanks, Mark.
And we'll encourage people to submit questions in advance or during the session based on this topic. We're going to do a quick preview here in this recording, building cultures of commitment. But there's also an opportunity to ask a broader range of questions related to continuous improvement, operational excellence, anything you might want to ask a CEO. So I'm going to introduce Mark in the more formal way on Thursday. But as we tend to do in the previews here, Mark, I'm going to ask you in your own words, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate it. I think I'll talk to the audience from a perspective that might bring the greatest value. I think the idea is that diversity in its raw form is diversity of thought. We think about it in traditional dimensions, probably race, creed, gender, nationality, belief systems, but experiences too. Diverse experiences shape the persona of an individual, their character, their integrity, what they believe to be moral and ethical rights. And so from that perspective, I think we're all just as diverse as one another. I think that at the individual level is where diversity really stops. And so from that perspective, I'd like to be able to share the diverse perspective of someone who's sat in the CEO saddle 6 different times. And I describe myself at times as a purple squirrel. It's just not supposed to exist, but if you see one, there it is. And so from my perspective, I've enjoyed the responsibilities and the roles of a chief executive of a public, private equity, family-owned, my own entrepreneurial business, Parrish Partners, and at the same time, that which is a fractional chief executive role for one of our clients. And so I've been in 6 different forms of founder and or CEO roles. Today, again, I'm the founder and managing partner with my wife, Michelle, and the company is Parrish Partners, Leadership and Management Consulting. And while we do training, coaching, and counseling at the C-suite and CEO and board levels, I spend most of my time in the world of CEO coaching and with mergers and acquisition, transaction, pre and post activities. And I'll give a real quick overview of the past so folks can at least have it as a blush. Born and raised in West Virginia, West by God, Virginia, was raised very patriotically. I followed my brother's footsteps at the military academy. I would serve 10 years in the uniformed service. I flew Apache gunships as my military specialty and was a pilot in command during the combat sorties of Desert Shield and Desert Storm. I came back to my home in Germany, so I've lived and domiciled abroad. I came back to my home in Germany 3 years and left there to go to MIT and enter the program, Mark, that you're so familiar with, at the time Leaders for Manufacturing, the Leaders for Global Operations today.
Right.
Hired off campus by Harley-Davidson Motor Company. And that would begin my civilian, my commercial journey of the brands that so many know and love: Simmons Mattress, Igloo Coolers, and some really phenomenal world-class companies for rapid prototyping and innovation in their sectors. And so here we are at Parrish Partners, where today we share those lessons. And it's my pleasure to be here.
Yeah. And you can learn more. The website for Parrish Partners, by the way, is parrishpartners.com. So again, really looking forward to, first off, the presentation section, and then the Q&A. Could you give us, a bit of a glimpse into a preview of that presentation and the theme you've selected on building cultures of commitment?
I can, and I like to take the words literally. And so the concept of building is the idea that something's dynamic, it's not stagnant, it's not already constructed. The it that I'm referring to is cultures, building cultures of commitment. Cultures are never stagnant. Two companies come together, and there's a acquirer and an acquiree, and the two come together, and they always think, well, the acquirer's culture will prevail. There's an A and there's a B. Well, the result of the hybrid, it's a C. It's neither of the two that came together. And so as that dynamic plays out, there are cultural norms that can either drive towards cultures of compliance, and in what I like to do is juxtapose compliance, cultures of commitment. And so as those norms, operating practices, business procedures evolve in this ever dynamic cultural evolution, the concept of which way are you evolving with intent, with purpose, towards compliant or towards commitment. And I'll assure you that a culture of commitment will outperform in every way. Human capital, financial capital, leadership, teamwork, communications, morale, performance, productivity, KPIs, and key result areas will all be eclipsed if you're in a culture of commitment over that of a compliant culture. So building cultures of compliance and the real science behind the thoughtful art of leadership to do that.
Yeah. Well, it's a powerful, contrast between compliance and commitment. I think the people in our audience for the live session, whether they're KaiNexus customers or just kind of part of our broader community, are part of organizations that are trying to make that transition. Commitment to improvement, a commitment to innovation, a commitment to supporting each other in the workplace, a commitment to customers, and commitment to success. So I think this is a topic and a theme. There'll be a lot to dig into. I know you're giving us just a brief introduction to all of the things that you teach, but I really look forward, especially to the opportunity to do the Q&A. I think this is a really special opportunity, and I invite people to take advantage of that, to submit questions in advance through the registration form, or you can submit them. I ask people to be compliant about using the Q&A button.
That's good, though. We'll have some fun with it.
The chat will be open, and we encourage people to use the chat, but there'll be a lot of opportunity to throw your questions Mark Parrish's way. So again, you can register at kainexus.com/webinars, or look for a link in the show notes or the YouTube description. Mark, anything else you'd like to leave us with here before we close?
I guess one thing is that this really is meant to be Q&A. It really is meant to be about the audience. It really is meant to be about you, the participants, and the questions that you bring. I'll have a construct, I'll bring a model, but who knows where we end up going. But I'll assure you, I'll tie it back to how better to build a culture of commitment vis-a-vis compliance. So I look forward to the opportunity, but the Q&A will be vital. Look forward to meeting you all.
Thanks again, Mark.
You're welcome, Mark.